What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Let's Talk Movies podcast. I'm your host, Brian Drolet. You're probably wondering, why am I in a forest right now? Why is it so dark? And why is the quality of my camera that is normally impeccable the way it is? Where are my good mics? Why is he speaking into an iPhone? Well, I had to do an emergency flight to Florida to take care of my father, who was rushed to the hospital. He's doing great. He's doing well. He's back to normal. He's back home, so it's all good news. But I don't have my equipment, and I can't film inside the house because there are dogs that bark like crazy. You can hear the cars driving by. It's a sound engineer's dream come true. I promised there were no cars when I started this, but regardless, this is the only opportunity I have to film this podcast, and I can't film anywhere else because this is the only place away from where people are sleeping currently. So the show must go on. I wanted to talk to you guys today about a classic movie that I just watched on the airplane here, actually. One of my all-time favorites and a huge inspiration in life, and that's Rudy. The story about the real-life player, Rudy Ruettiger, that his dream was to go to Notre Dame, and it was highly unlikely. He didn't even have the grades for it, and everybody thought he was crazy. His family was obsessed with Notre Dame football, played by actor Sean Astin. And actually, what I love about this movie, this is the movie where one of my favorite directors, Jon Favreau, and Vaughn met. I touched upon this movie on the first episode of this podcast, actually. Every time a car drives by, the sound person in me is like, ugh. But hopefully it's not as bad when using this iPhone for my sound. I digress. Back to the movie, Rudy, which they did not have to deal with this. But much like Rudy, he forged on. It's a beautiful story, and I haven't watched it in a long time. And knowing what I know about film now, there were a lot of things that really stood out to me in this film. First of all, the character that plays his best friend, there are just some beautiful movie moments in this. His friend bought him the Notre Dame jacket that he ends up wearing pretty much all movie, and it was like the most amazing gift ever. And this is usually what we call an impact character. This character had such an impact on the main character that he actually followed his dream because of this character. Now, every movie also has an inciting incident, which I told you guys about when we spoke about story structure. The inciting incident in Rudy is when his best friend dies in a fire at their factory. So many times in life, whether it's your girlfriend dumping you, your boyfriend cheating on you, losing a job, there's something major that happens that causes us to reevaluate our life, what we're doing, and go for an adventure or a dream. In Rudy, that was his best friend dying in the fire, the only person that believed in him and supported him. His older brother doesn't, I believe his name's Frank, doesn't believe in his dreams. He thinks he's crazy. He tells him, get it together. Even his father tells him right before he leaves for Notre Dame, having a stupid dream, he even calls it a stupid dream. He said it only hurts those that you love around you. And his father's only thinking about how embarrassing this is going to be, that his son's going to chase this crazy dream. But Rudy goes. He goes there. He doesn't have a plan. He doesn't know what he's doing. He hasn't thought this through. He shows up on the campus at Notre Dame talking to the security guard, and he's like, is there anybody I can talk to at school? And the guy tells him, there's not even anybody here right now. What are you doing here, kid? And so he says, there's got to be somebody I can talk to. And so, loud car coming through, all right. He says, what are you doing here, kid? It's like 5 in the morning. There's nobody here you can talk to. And Rudy says, there's got to be somebody I can talk to. And he says, well, you can go talk to a priest. In fact, that might be what you need the most. So he does. He goes, talks to Father Francis, or whoever the priest's name is. Let's call him Father Francis. But he goes and talks to a priest. And the priest thinks he wants to join the fatherhood at first. And he's like, look, after losing somebody you love, it's, quite common for somebody to, try to escape into the cloth. And Rudy's like, escape into the cloth? And he's like, I don't want to be a seamstress. And no, he doesn't say that. And the father's like, no, that's, what we say when somebody's pursuing priesthood after somebody dies. And he's like, I don't want to be a priest. He's like, I want to go to Notre Dame and I want to play football for the Irish, but my grades have never been good. So the priest tells him, look, I can get you into Holy Cross, which is like a community college or another school. He's like, I can get you there 1 semester. If you get good grades, I can get you another semester. What does Rudy have? He has hope. In life, we are nothing without hope. You take away hope from a man, you take away everything. So he's got hope. So he enrolls in this school, and now the storyteller in me, I love this. He doesn't have money, but what does he have? Rudy can talk to girls. He's outgoing. So Jon Favreau's character, who's a teacher's assistant, who actually goes to Notre Dame but is teaching at Holy Cross, he says, look, you help me talk to girls, I'll help you with your grades. I'll tutor you. So it's a great dynamic between your protagonist and now a supporting character. So now the fun and games of the movie has begun. We had our inciting incident. We had our debate. What's he going to do? Now we're in Act 2. He's going to Holy Cross. He's near Notre Dame. He's helping Jon Favreau get women. And in turn, he's studying and getting his grades up. So he keeps applying. Now, but where's he going to stay, you're probably wondering. Well, Rudy, he wants to get near his dream. That's the other thing. And we can take these lessons in life. Whatever it is you want to do, try to get near your goals, okay? So he starts working for the maintenance crew. And that's where he meets the character. I know he was famous for his TV show, The Rock. Might even be his name in real life. I can't remember, but The Rock, the guy who's like, you're 5 foot nothing, you're 100 and nothing. So he starts working for him, and he leaves the window open to basically the janitor's closet, and that's where he starts sleeping. So he's got a place to stay, and he's got a little bit of a plan. So now we're in our second act, where Rudy, he's getting close to the team. He's, meeting the players as they run off the field. He even goes and introduces himself to the coach and tells him, my goal is going to be to walk onto this football team. And of course the coach thinks he's crazy. He's like, you should go speak to a priest. He's like, actually, I already did, coach. So what happens? He also then joins a club that polishes the team's helmets, and it's kind of like a club, like almost like cheerleaders and people that support the team, but you have to be a part of the team. And he lies. Now, in life, they say break the rules, right, to get your goals. So Rudy's breaking some rules. But he gets drunk one night in a bar, and he kind of spills the beans to this girl that he's not actually on the team, or not actually going to the school. So she finds out, she's like, look, you can't do this, kicks him out of the cheer group or whatever it is. And the fun and games of the movie, it keeps going where he's applying, he's getting rejected. He's applying, he's getting rejected. He's helping Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau's helping him. And right when you think, he and his family, by the way, they think he's a joke at this point. They're not supporting him. He has to go back home, and he's not really getting a lot of love and support from his family, which a lot of times when we go after our dreams, there are going to be family members and people that think you're crazy and tell you, why are you doing this? So Rudy, he has to really, keep his dream alive in his head, and he's got to forge forward. And finally, it's his last chance to get in. If he gets rejected, Notre Dame does not take senior transfers. But what happens? He gets in. He gets into Notre Dame. So he gets in, and he tries out for the team. He's so much smaller than everybody, but he has heart. He's bringing it every single play, every possession. And one coach says, wow, if my guys had half the heart of this guy, they'd make All-American. So he actually gives him a spot on the practice squad. But he's not making that many fans because he's making the head quarterback look bad. Who is the head quarterback? Vince Vaughn. This is the movie where Vince Vaughn met Jon Favreau again. So he's making some enemies because people, there's some people, and there's a great character in the movie, a guy who is on the team, but he's never going to dress. He's a legacy player. His father was a player, but he's not good enough, and he doesn't even want to do this. And what's great is there's a scene in the movie when he's like, so why are you doing it? And he says, my father will take away my scholarship if I quit the team. And what's beautiful is later on in the movie, he questions him some more, and the guy admits, he goes, there is a delusional part of me that dreams about one day walking out of that tunnel and onto the field. So he was even embarrassed to admit his dream, but Rudy was a guy who was so inspiring. He's like, he even shared with him his secret, which is, I really want to do that. And Rudy just sets an example for everybody, and he eventually wins over even the players that were hating on him. So that's another lesson I love of the movie. There are going to be people that hate on you and hate on your dream and make fun of you. But when you achieve your dream, they're going to be the first people to cry, be inspired, and go, "Wow, I'm a jerk." And if they don't, then they're never going to have growth, and that's their plight in life. That's on them to live a miserable life. But the fact is if you go for the things you really want, even the people that hate on you along the way, if they're not a robot, they're going to be inspired, and they're going to be chanting your name, and that's exactly what happens. At the end of the movie, Rudy, he wants to dress for one game just to show everybody that he actually is on the team. And, there's also a part in the movie where he's so down and out because he's not going to get to dress, and he's not going to get to prove to everybody back home, what he's accomplished. And that's when the Rock character is like, you're 5'0", you're 100 and you've hung in with the best football program, and you've got an education from one of the best universities. If you haven't proved something to yourself, nothing about proving it to the other people is going to matter. So it's another great lesson in the movie. Don't do things to impress others. Don't compete with others. Compete with yesterday's version of yourself. Try to become the best you possible, and you're the only person who needs to know that you're truly living your truth and going after what you want. And so you don't need to, do things to prove anything to anybody other than yourself. And that's what Rudy does. And he makes that team, and there's a new the coach that is currently on the team says, look, I promise I'll let you dress next year, senior year, one game. But that coach ends up leaving the university. A new coach comes in and has no intention of ever dressing Rudy, and he doesn't. Every time Rudy goes to check, he's not on the list. And it's the most beautiful ending to a movie ever. Is the captain of the team goes to talk to the coach and says, I want to give up my spot for Rudy. And the coach says, you're the captain of our team. Start acting like it. And the guy looks at him and says, I believe I am, coach. I believe I am. Sets his jersey down on the desk. After that, the next captain, the next player. They keep walking in, putting their jerseys on the desk, and the coach just looks at them all. One of the most beautiful moments in movie history. And of course, Rudy dresses for that game. And what happens? Of course, Rudy doesn't get into the game. But with about 20 seconds left, that quarterback, Vince Vaughn, that was hating on him, he draws up a play just so it gives the possibility to get Rudy in the game in like the last 15 seconds, which they do. They score a touchdown to get defense, and everybody starts chanting, Rudy, 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 Rudy. Even the announcer says, I just picked up what the student body is chanting. It's the walk-on senior, Rudy Ruettiger. And even the coach, one of the coaches starts saying, Rudy, Rudy. And finally, that the new head coach says, okay, put him in. And not only does Rudy get in the game, but he sacks the damn quarterback. And he's carried off the field. The only player to be carried off the field since the 1970s. I believe it was like 1976 or 75, somewhere around there. And thought I heard somebody, I think it's crickets. But it's one of the most amazing movies, So emotionally satisfying, so inspiring. If you haven't seen it, be sure to check out Rudy, starring Sean Astin and Vince Vaughn and Jon Favreau. Let me know what you think in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this very unique version of Let's Talk Movies. I'm your host, Brian Drolet. We'll see you next time.